Dude, look at that tricep. Holy. Alright, so today was day 27, back day. I'm trying a little bit of a different format today. I'm recording the face cam because I want to, at the beginning of the video, kind of like explain how things are going in terms of the bulk and what I've been changing in terms of my variables outside of training. So I don't want to just overlay training clips while I do that, but if that's what you want, then I might do it. But as of now, we're going to do the face cam thing. So 27 days into the off season, into the bulk, trying to push and get as heavy and as big as possible while still staying pretty lean. One of the big things I've noticed is that by eating so much food, my waist is beginning to distend. So I'm trying to keep that down. If your main goal is classic physique or even just bodybuilding, you want to keep your waist down because it's a really important part of your shape and symmetry. For me, you can see some of the poses later that I'm going to show in this back video. My waist is a little thick. Now, I understand I hold a lot of my fat there, and that might be the case for you, but something I've learned through this bulk is to not continuously push food. If I continue to push food, yes, I might put on a little bit more size, but I'm going to put on a ton of fat and my waist is going to get bigger than I want it to. So I'm slowing down the food. I'm eating as much food as I feel like is comfortable. And honestly, like if you think about it, why would you try and force more food down your throat when you still have enough energy to train and recover properly? I just don't find a reason for that. Bulking, the whole point of bulking is to put on muscle, right? So it's a little bit counterintuitive to force feed yourself and reduce your pumps at the gym because your stomach's always full and things like that. Eat as much food as you need to eat in order to train hard, in order to recover properly. If you feel like you're not recovering properly and your training sucks, everything else is down, like sleep, hydration is all good, you might need to increase calories. And if that means force feeding, you got to do whatever it takes. For the most part, I feel like you don't really need to eat to failure. You need to eat as much as you possibly can and still be able to train really hard and recover from it. If you notice you're not making progress and everything else is good, eat more food. Anyways, today is back day. Back's probably my best body part. After legs, or maybe like tied with legs, I guess. But let's just get into this back day. All right, so first thing I'm going to do, what do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be, it's obviously lat pull down. So sometimes I start with the row, sometimes I start with the pull down. Recently, I've been loving the pull down. It just feels really good. It gives me a good stretch from the beginning and it gives me a really good pump for the beginning. So here are some lat pull downs. I'm using this neutral grip because if you know what the mag grip is one of the best grips for lat pull downs, and this gym does not have it. This is the closest thing to a mag grip. It's a neutral grip, which for me is the best grip for lats. So it's neutral and it just feels good. It's not too wide to where it's just targeting like Terry's for the most part. It's just the perfect distance between each handle. Only problem with it is it hangs down a lot, so I can't like fully get a stretch, but that's completely fine with me. I'm warming up here. I did 180 for a couple reps just to feel the weight out. And then I throw on the full stack and just go to town, swinging full on, just like using momentum. It is what it is here because at the end of the day, the contraction was wild. Most important thing with training back, you've probably heard already 100 times, but you want to pull with your elbows instead of pulling with your hands. You want to imagine your hands are like attached to the bar or like hooks and you're pulling with the elbows. That's why I use straps for pretty much every back exercise because I want to imagine that my hands are completely not even there, that I'm just like glued to the bar and I'm pulling with my elbows. That is a cue you must have if you want to engage your back. Also, you see that I kind of lean back to pull the weight down. It's debatable whether you should do that or not. For me, it works a little bit better simply because if I'm pulling the bar straight down, I need to lean back a little bit more and get a better squeeze in my lower lats. The lower lats for most people are not well developed. Now, it might just be your lat insertions. They might be a little high, but pulling straight down like how I am doing here, it is probably the best way to engage your lats. Now, obviously, it's not fully straight down because that's like pretty hard. You're going to have to lower the weight significantly, but it's enough to engage the lats as much as possible. You'll see here that I let it stretch as much as possible before the stack hits the bottom. So I'm getting as much of a stretch as I can with this handle because that stretch is absolutely integral for lat pull downs, I find, especially with this exercise specifically. And yeah, it's pretty simple. It's pulling with the elbows, driving the elbows in, getting a ridiculous pump. Last two sets are a little bit slower, a little bit more control, try and drive more blood in there. That's kind of what I do for most exercises. I start with like a couple heavy sets and finish with a couple light sets. Now, pretending to be Ronnie Coleman here, pretending I'm actually big, I'm doing a few poses. The lighting isn't the best, but I got a really nice lat spread here. So unfortunately, lat spread isn't a mandatory pose in classic physique, but I feel like for most people, the lat spread is better than the back double bicep. just because you really show off the width. And in the back double, unless you're like super thick and wide, you don't show much width. And if you do, you probably aren't showing much detail because you're a fat ass in the off season like me. Anyways, 4 sets on the lat pull down done. We move on to a row movement. The chest supported row is one of my favorites. I load up 3 plates, which ends up being way too heavy. I only get 6 reps. Now, what do I usually do when the weight is too heavy? When I didn't anticipate it being this heavy, I do a drop set. I drop a plate, go to 2 plates, and rep that out for as many reps as I possibly can until it just feels unbearable. And let me tell you, that stretch at the bottom of the movement, again, is so important. Like, think of your back muscles. You want your back muscles to like spread out, really stretch apart, put so much more tension on all the fibers, and then you contract it and they squeeze together, puts even more tension on the fibers. You stretch out, you squeeze it. Just think about that, how much more tension you're putting on it. The tension you put on the muscle is like the most important part of breaking down the fibers, which is what we're training for at this point. So make sure you remember those cues. 2 plays here, just repping it out. When you do a drop set, you don't want to be like super focused about form. You just want to bang around the weight and get as much blood in the muscle as possible. So I lowered it to 2.25 because 3 plates was too heavy, and I do 2 more sets for a total of 3 on the chest supported row. So I've done a pull down in a row. It's 7 sets. I move on to a cable row. Now the angle here is a little bit funky. It's not the best angle, so unfortunately, you're going to have to deal with that. My bad. But the cable row is a great exercise. Now the way I did it was a little bit meatheady. I kind of just swung the weight around. It felt good, but if you really want to get a good contraction, you want to like let the bar pull you on the eccentric and really stretch out your back like how I did on the chest supported row. That is probably, as most people would say, optimal or back engagement. I hate that word, but again, pulling with the elbows, pulling to like your lower stomach, your lower abdomen. You don't want to pull up to like your chest because then you're just going to engage traps and upper back, which if that's what you want, go ahead. But I'm trying to get huge wings, so I'm pulling low to my belly button area. Really squeeze those lower lats. 2 sets here, just so I could get one more pull down movement in. I consider this a pull down, which is like the unilateral cable pull down. I love this exercise. I used to think it was for like pencil neck jabronis on TikTok who thought it was very optimal. But hey, it actually works really well, and I'm kind of loving it. So we do it here unilaterally. Try and balance out any asymmetries in the lats. Really important part of bodybuilding. And getting the stretch and the squeeze again. 2 most important parts of the movement. I'll say it again and again. Stretch and squeeze, stretch and squeeze. That doesn't mean 10-second eccentric. That just means you feel the stretch, you feel the squeeze, you move. You see how fast I'm moving here? I'm still feeling the stretch and the squeeze, and that's why the pump is so immaculate. You don't believe the pump is immaculate? All right, watch this posing video. I might be a little on the softer side, but I'm natty, so that's just how things work. I'm not going to have like hard, grainy muscle like some dudes blasting master on in Primo. Here's some back shots though. I mean, I think I look pretty good from the back. Obviously, I'm going to have to fix up my posing a little bit. I'm going to have to diet for 16-ish weeks when I do end up competing. But I definitely do think I will win a lot of the back shots. Even right now, my back is decently lean. And even from the back double bicep, there's some decent width. It's the lat spread. I think that back lat spread is my best pose. I just think it shows the V-taper the most, and there's just a lot of thick, dense muscle on the back. So you also notice that my lower lats when I do the lat spread are super well developed, which is mainly from like Romanian deadlifts and barbell rows, things like that really just engage those erectors, squeezing and stretching as I mentioned before. But anyways, we finish off the workout with the reverse pec deck. It's really standard here. We're just doing rear delt work at this point. I do rear delts with back, because shoulder days with chest, so I want to balance things out a little bit more. That is pretty much it for the back day. I mean, it's a really simple day. Didn't do calves today because they're pretty sore and I wanted to give them a break, but I tend to do calves pretty much every workout. They are beginning to grow, which is very, very reassuring of my hard work, because a lot of people say calves are genetic, whatever. It's not all genetic. Every muscle can be stimulated to grow, and that includes your calves, that includes your forearms. If you train them hard and heavy, they're going to grow. Simple as that. Hope you like the back day. Little different format. Let me know if you like it or if you like the old format. That's it for this one though. Take care.